Greetings, Rob McRae here, erstwhile known as Clan McRae 9, and in this video we're going to take a closer look at some of the new pieces properties included in the 2.0 version of the Vassal module. So clicking on the pieces menu here, it opens up the tray, and as I mentioned before, you can see there's extra pieces in here that were not included in the previous versions. First, let's take a quick look at the chariot team. So let's just pull out some horses here and the assigned chariot. As we mentioned before, the graphics look a lot better thanks to Jeff Lee for updating those. So I'm going to zoom in here so we can take a better look at the horses, because that's where most of the activity takes place. So the main thing is you can right click on the horse team, and if you played the Vassal module before for Circus Maximus, you'll instantly recognize that there are a lot more options here. So starting from the top, the very first one that we have is a new option that you can use with your chariot race log. So let's update this driver's name to Dark Red Dude. Of course, you can call your drivers whatever you want. And once we've updated that, then I can go back over to my team piece here and assign driver name, and you'll see that now when I hover over, Dark Red Dude appears as the driver's name, and he drives for the Dark Red team. So that's going to help a lot, because sometimes it can be a little difficult with some of the colors such as white and off-white to get a good distinction on some monitors on which team is white and which is the off-white. Looking at some of the other functions, the movement trail starts in the toggled on position now, so you won't have to remember each time to turn that on. You will, of course, have to remember to turn it off, but that's much easier to remember at the end of your game turn. Okay, looking at the menu options again. Of course, you can still rotate clockwise or counterclockwise. That function has not changed. Another new function here is increased or reducing movement factors. So right now this team doesn't have any movement factors. I can right click and increase the movement factors, and you'll see the little pop-up displays showing that this team now has -1 movement factors. You can also, just like with any of the other pieces or functions in the game, you can just select until you see the black highlight of the object that you've selected, and then either use the up or down keys in the case of the movement factors to toggle between the different options. Some functions will use left and right. Okay, let's get this back to 0. And of course, you can delete the teams if you ever get into a situation where you accidentally pull down a team, an extra piece that you don't need on the board, to get rid of it. And then, as I showed in the introduction a little bit, we can now kill the horses as you're going through the race. So let's say the red team here, the dark red team, loses its #1 horse. So I can right click and I can kill horse 1, and you'll see the graphic updates for that. If I want to restore, I can do restore horses. That's in case I actually chose the wrong horse or there was some other misinterpretation of the rules, but just a way for you to get back to where you were. Kill horse 4. I would recommend go ahead and restoring after each change. But also notice as well that when you kill horses, you're going to get up here in the text, you're going to get either a very stark or a whimsical note indicating that something has happened to that horse. So, for instance, Dark Red Horse 1 now resides amongst the gods. Dark Red Horse 4 has drawn his last breath. So, there'll be some type of historical record that something has happened to that horse. And that's pretty much it. The horses, fortunately, this was one of the problems when I was designing getting this to work, but fortunately I have it where you could rotate even with the horses killed. Originally I was having trouble getting them to all rotate properly. The overlays were not rotating while the main graphic was, but I have all that sorted out. So that covers everything in terms of the actual teams. We still have the other pieces for when a chariot is wrecked, when a racer is being dragged, or if a runner is dismounted. Sometimes that happens during gameplay. I also gave you an extra tile here. You probably won't need it, but this basically does the same thing as that if for some reason you accidentally deleted your tile. And then these new pieces here, also created by Jeff Lee, are for spectator interference, as well as, let me pull the dead horses out here. So as the horses die, they're left on the track. So you would move forward and you would leave horse carcasses along the way as you were moving along. Okay, so the Roman amphora here is basically a big cask of wine that could be thrown in by a rowdy spectator. You may even have the drunken Roman enter the racing area at his own peril and to the peril of the drivers as well. Spectators can throw rocks, and they can also throw excrement. You can decide for yourself whether it's human excrement, horse excrement, or whatever. But it's there in case the game gets that rowdy. And then another option is they may throw fruit at the chariot racers as they go by as well. These extra pieces don't have any specific fancy controls. You can use the movement trail if you needed to. I'm not sure that would be required for any of the pieces, except maybe the drunken Roman if he's actually moving across the card. I don't remember if the rules allow for that or if he just shows up and where he is. Or it could be a she, to be honest. But you can rotate them if you needed to, but probably would not need to, and of course you can delete when they're no longer necessary. And that pretty much covers all of the game piece functions. So until next time, thank you very much.